Hello, the internet. First of all, an apology if it looks like I've just woken up. It's because I've just woken up. I had fun last night with my smallest child, and suffice to say the washing machine has been on most of the day. Anyway, I decided to grab a quick nap, so I was actually awake for this and not falling asleep. So, if you're new, welcome. I'll just quickly go through what's going on the project, and if you've been following along, we'll recap and try and remember where I left off last week. So, this is the Wednesday streams for Norfolk developers. We're doing an evening of code, a pathetically bad pun on the fact that this is hooking into the Eve Online API. And we're writing a small Go program that's going to allow me to do stuff with the market data. We're fiddling around with this, which is the ESI interface that you use to get data out of Eve. And because of the way the data is presented, we're actually having to do some funky things. So really what I wanted to do is to be able to get market orders for a particular station or a particular system. I don't really care which station in that system. It's easy enough to travel between them. However, in order to get orders, we need to pass in a region ID, and I don't have the region ID for the particular station I'm in. And in order to find out the region the station is in, we've actually got to go through this really sort of reverse order thing and loading the universe in. So we've hooked up the ESI API. We did that in week 1, so I made sure that we could talk to it and pull data. Hey Kev. And we've written some tests to make sure that's pulled off, and then we started pulling out the data as we can get it. Let's just mouse is on the wrong thing. Just going to squiz up to a different screen, check something, and we're all good. Right, so this is the problem. I'm on 2 screens, and the code's down here and up here. So sometimes I'm looking at my mouse, and it's like that's the wrong one. Okay, so we have this load function, and the load function goes off and creates a universe. I'm loving the grandiose nature of the code. And the universe has regions. Regions contain constellations, and constellations contain systems. And the way that you get this information out of ESI is you've got to go off and go, right, give me all the regions in the universe. And then for each region, give me all the constellations in that region. And then for each constellation, give me all the systems in that constellation. And you get this tree out. But that's multiple REST calls. We had some fun with that insofar as sometimes those calls would fail, so we've put in some retries. And also it takes an awfully long time to pull all that information out. So we cache stuff, we dump it into a JSON file, and as you'll see, I have just refreshed the cache so that we're dealing with up-to-date information for today and shouldn't have to reload anything. But that's still not going to help us because we ultimately have this, which is a system ID, as opposed to like a constellation ID or anything. So one of the other things is that our load function goes off and wires up the universe in our own data model such that we have regions, constellations and systems at the top level, so I can just turn around and say give me the system that has this type ID. But also systems know about the region that it's in and the constellation it's in. So I can go and say, give me the give me the systems. Go give me the system with the ID for the one we're after, Jita. Pull out its region ID, and that gives me the region ID, which I can then shove into something we wrote week 1, which gets us our market data. And at the moment we're just doing something a little bit noddy insofar as we go off, we grab that data and we dump it out as some JSON, as evidenced here, which is what it did when it finished. Which is fine, except I think I've got poor open, yes. We're going to run into a small problem, because you'll notice here there are 999 entries in our response, and I can guarantee you there are more than 1,000 items. So we go up to index 999. So with index 0, you've got 1,000 items. There's more than 1,000 items in that region. I can guarantee that the chances of us being that lucky that we've pulled out exactly 1,000 items from a region is it's not happening. So if we go have a look at this, which is the swagger information for this particular thing, we find out that there is a page. So we need to know how many pages there are. And what happens is we get our result back. Does it have the pages in there? Just put our JSON text out and just see if there's anything like page in there. Nope. May have to go have a look and find out where it tells us how many pages come back. All of that we don't care about. It's in the header, because why wouldn't it be? So this week we're basically going to be looking at repeatedly calling that particular endpoint so we can get an up-to-date value of prices, and probably caching them as well. Now, I will, thinking off the top of my head, I suspect I will have, oh hey Paul, I think I will have a separate cache file because the price data updates regularly, whereas the universe data does not, and I don't want to have to worry about the fact that one may be invalidated and the other one, so we may have another JSON file. We've already farmed out our get function. We're going off and our get by ID function for our market, but we may want to start looking at this and seeing if we can actually let's put the paging in the ESI, because I think other things page as well. So we're already dealing with retrying in this particular thing, but let's have a look and see if we can't also do pages. Now I'm having to think here because we won't be able to do it at this level. At this level we don't know whether we're passing in a struct or a slice, and therefore we can't do anything too funky. So we're not going to have to do it a level up. But you know, I know what we're going to be getting out. So let's write a new get function. Actually, no, we don't need to. The only reason why we've got this interface here, or is it? So I'm thinking aloud, I'm just thinking about what the other market things return. So let's just quickly go up and see what history looks like in terms of... No, okay, so we do need to have different things going into this particular function, so we are going to have a new function. So this is going to be... let's just do market.data, because we're going to be pulling out the live data. We don't need to pass in a category. We probably do need to pass in an ID, and we're also going to need to know about the universe in order to pull out the various bits. So this function wants to live on a type that can hold a pointer to the universe. So let's define. I'm just going to move my iPad slightly. I have it so I can see chat, but it's kind of in the way where it is. Let's lie it down. There we go. Apologies for the clunks. That way I can still sort of see chat, but don't have to worry about bashing it all the time. I've lost my other stand. I don't know where I've put it. I went running around looking for it earlier, but as I said, I woke up a little bit late. Anyway, so we've got a type which is going to be markets. I don't know. We're in a market, and it is going to be. Let's actually just call it data. So let's create a new file. We're going to call data. So this is going to be market data. We're going to have a type data, which is going to be a struct. That is going to have a universe. So we will have... Where did my universe come from? It's an Eve universe. So we're going to have universe, which is our Eve universe, and that really wants to be a pointer because that is a big data structure. I'm actually going to take, thinking out loud, but the only reason why we need our universe is to do the lookups for where things are. No, I'm going to leave the universe there. We may do some other stuff with it. Right, so the other thing we're going to want, we've got a choice of passing in the system we care about either on every call or when we construct this particular thing. So let's store our system here as well. So we've got our type ID. Am I going to cache this to file? For the moment, I think I'm going to keep it in memory. We'll see how long it takes to load. In terms of, we might want to cache it for file just for dev type thingies. So we're going to want something here, which is the actual prices or whatever. No idea what that's going to be at the moment, so we'll just shove an interface in there. So this is data. Hold on, market data for a given system. Okay. Better idea. Let's put the region in here. And then here we'll take our universe. So we're going to take universe, which is an Eve.universe, and our system, which is a ESI.typeID. Do I want them to be the other way around? Just think about semantically which way around the arguments want to go, and that's going to return a almost certainly pointer to a data. Cool. So now we can do a return one of these, and the region is going to be our universe dot systems system dot region dot ID. So pretty much what we did in the main thing. We're not going to do any sanity checking at the moment in terms of does that region actually exist, because system is going to be system, and our prices we can leave for the time being. So that's going to pull back our new data structure, and we can then have on that a load. May make that private and just do the load. Do the load when need be, but we'll leave it public for the moment. So in this particular thing, I might just go grab the code from down here. Nope. Grab the code from here. Let's just mark it .getById. Fantastic. Remark it. Get by ID. The category is going to be orders. Our ID is our region ID. So that's d.region. And actually, better. so that's probably going to want to shove something back. Error. Fail to load market data 4%. Just thinking about, do we want to be having a type ID or do we want to be passing in the full type so we can have names? For the moment, let's just do that. We'll just take the ID for now. %W, and that's our error. Okay. So that's just doing what we were doing out of main, and if I was to go down here now and do new data, which is our universe and our that is a pointer to the oops. Why are you not liking that? I do it the other way around. I did. That's why. Universe goes in later. So there's our data, so we don't need that anymore. And then we can just do data.load. Another program. That'll be why that was failing. So honestly, very little has changed at the moment. We've just moved a little bit of code out, but now we can start handling the whole paging thing. So let's just make sure that still runs in a relatively timely fashion. So we're hoping now that it doesn't go off and reload. There we go. So it's loaded the universe data from the cache and has just spat out the first 1,000 items from that load. So let's go have a look and see what we can do about this paging. So we need to get the number of pages in the header. So this is doing a get by ID. Which is doing this get, which is doing this get. And we need to propagate up the number of pages. So this is going to break our code a little bit, but I think we are going to have to shove this back here because we need the number of pages. So what I'm thinking now is that things are beginning to look a little bit untidy. I'm just going to put that back. These functions are no longer single shot functions. They're getting called multiple times, and it stands to reason that they actually want to hold a bunch of data about themselves. So let's actually have an API type, which we can. Oops. It's actually going to be a call type, I think. Which is going to have some information. So I think one of the things we might be able to do here at a later date is actually wrap up the whole errors thing and get rid of the errors and sort of basically store whether there have been errors and whether we've been able to recover from them. that could be a job for another time, but right, so we want some information about the number of tries we've got, and we can then override this sort of data. Means we can also override this type of data as well for our testing, which means we can start doing some funky stuff with that. So we can default it to these values, but allow it to be overridden should we want to. So that means we're going to want base, max tries, and our pool in there. We're also going to want, I think, the current try, and also the number of pages left. Now let me just see what we've got in terms of what's using this. So that is in our market. We don't. That's going to be. Pretty sure that's a slice. Yes, that's a slice. The other thing we get is from here, constellations. We're getting that, which is one of these, which is a struct. Okay, so we're going to need. Probably going to need two functions. I can't do a slice of interface. Yeek. We'll let the calling functions handle the stitching. Anyway, so we've got base URI, so the string, max tries is an int, pause is time.duration, and then internal thing we're going to have retry, which is an int, pages. Actually, we're going to make pages public for now. Page will be internal, and I'll make next. I apologise. My chair is in need of a new gas cylinder, so I am slowly sinking. I just felt it go thunk. So if I slowly disappear out of frame, that's why. I will come back up again. Okay, so we've got those things. We're going to need a new call on that. So call on the ESI API. So this is going to be new call. I think we can just default pretty much everything. Return pointer to the call, because we're going to have to change things around, and we can just return one of these. Fill in all fields. I said fill in all fields. Thank you. So that's going to be base. Pages is going to default to 1. Max tries is going to be max tries. Pause is going to be pause. Retry 0, and page is going to be 0. So the reason why we defaulted pages to 1 is because we're always expecting at least one page to come back. Right, so that for paged results. I just want to whip up here a little bit. So now I'll call, we've got get, we've got our URI, which is a string, and the result it's going into, which is an interface, and we're going to return an error. And we can basically start doing this. Except now we are, let's rename that to try. So try 0. So if c.try is greater than c.max tries, we need to store our last error as well. So we'll shove that in there. There we go. Right, so there's our new request that we're doing. I can't remember whether we need to make a new one of those each time or not. I'll look at that later. So we're doing a get, this is c.try, c.pause, and right, okay. So here we want to retry, so we're going to do c.get, we're going to get again with our URI and our result. But before we do that, we want to store our error, increment the try we're on, and that way, let's get that ordered. That way we are replicating what we were doing before. Well, that was nice and easy. Okay, so we can get rid of both of these. One of the things we need to do now is pull out that that header. So what was the header called? Oh, we're looking at the wrong thing, that's why. That's history. Get rid of the history orders. The header was X pages. So let's go have a look at that over here. Let's have a look at our headers and that call we did. X pages is 15. Now, is that how we do this? Let's come back with stuff. Excellent. Cool. So that's how we do that. We need to shove a page thing on that. Let's just make sure that we can do a page. Oops. Wow, there. I've obviously hit a button I didn't mean to hit. There we go. It's page 1. Let's just make sure that is good. Okay, so when we are doing our thing here, we want to also be appending question what page equals 1. Too many pluses. Too many pluses. So this is going to be %s, question mark, page equals %. D, and that's going to be c.base URI, and c.page. So that's now doing the paging from that particular thing. We also, at this point here, want to say just thinking about what we do with pages in terms of when we grab the next one. We will probably want a next page type call because we're handling the retries in this, so we can't really be auto-incrementing our pages unless... Actually, no, we can do it here. We know we've pulled everything out here, so c.page plus plus. And then the last thing we need to do is down here is, after that, we need to pull out our oops, next page. Next page? Next page is. That is going to be a string. So if p is that, not equal nil. No, that's entirely wrong. And that's not an if at all. That can't go wrong. This is going to be an if. If struconv I to a p is not equal to nil, that's better. A to I even. Don't want to do anything with page here, so let's just say this is our header, and then let's put our page here. Excellent. So at this point I'm not going to update the number of pages we've got. We obviously don't have that particular header in there, so we can log out no page data on it's not an ASI market call, it's just an ASI call, and in fact we don't even want to log that out because basically some things are not going to be returning that, so let's not care about the error. Let's turn around and say page, throw the error away, it's equal to a to y on that, and then if page was 0, because it'll default to 0 if anything goes wrong, c.page is, that's going to be pages as well, because that's the number of pages we've got. Pages, pages, equal pages. There we go. So now we're pulling out the number of pages we have. Excellent. So the only other thing we're going to need on here, let's just quickly put a thing up here. Get data. Try if necessary. Can't spell necessary. Get the ID to spell necessary for me. Retrying if necessary. Data data and provided data structure. So the other thing we want here is a and because we are page 1 to start off with, and the number of pages is equal to, we want equal to. So there's just a quick little call. Next returns true if it'll be next. Continue more. Oh no, we'll leave it at next for more. More returns true if there are more pages of data. Fiddle with that name later if we need to. Okay, so constellations is whinging at us. That's not surprising because we need to turn around and say our call is equal to si.newCall, and then we can do call.get on that. Don't think anything else is going to whinge on that particular one. That's going to complain. We don't use that at the moment. I'm just having a think now about so our universe, we no longer have this kind of thing anymore. We've got get regions and get systems. We don't have this individual get anymore. So I'm thinking because that just goes off get regions. I'm thinking this market type data and this market type get thing is fit for death. And for now, we can just have that up here. So the first thing we're going to need to do is to work out what our prices look like. And are they in fact prices? What are they called? They're orders. So let's rename that to orders, and we're going to want a type of order. And for now, that will turn into a struct later. So this means we are going to be having a bunch of orders on here. Oops. Which means that down here we can say we do need this particular thing. Just thinking about where various bits are going to go. We need that to be the order on there. Okay, let's just take that. Let's go up here for now. That wasn't what I wanted. What did I want? I wanted this. Give me this. That's what I want. Thank you. That. And we've already got our ID, because that's d.region, and our category is going to be orders. So let's take both of those, shove them up there for now. Might move market later. Orders, there we go. Okay, so we want our call, which is going to be ESI.new call. That probably gets renamed call. Excellent. Then we want to do this. If our data is a thing of order, right. No, doesn't need to be at the moment. Worry about that later because we've got to store it somewhere. So I mean, we've only got one of each. So we've got our set of orders, and we are going to go off and we're going to say call.get URI, and we're going to put that into data, and we're going to, if is equal to that, not equal to nil, return form.error, fail to get market data for some V. We've already got that, we've got that there. There we go. Now we want to whip this into for c.next, call.next, sorry, call.more, and here we want to say d.orders equals append d.orders. That should do multiple calls. Now we've got a little bit more to do, because one of the things we wanted to do with this particular structure is we're wanting stuff for a system, and I don't remember, but the data that's coming out is for a region which encompasses multiple systems. So just wondering whether Jita is a good idea to be pulling stuff out of at the moment. Might just hard code our system just temporarily. Jita's likely to have millions of orders. So let's just hard code that ever so slightly to something smaller. So we know we're only going to make 15 requests, so it should be reasonably quick. Yeah, there's one other thing that we need to do on this, and that's actually filter out the stuff that doesn't belong to the system we're in. Let's just quickly get rid of that because it's not needed. Let's go have a look at our main function and see whether that's still going to run. We no longer want that's going to be, so what we're actually going to do here is I'm going to print then data.orders, and we'll just take the length of that. So if this all works, we would expect to see a number of orders in there. First of all, let's find out if it compiles. It does not compile, of course, because regions and constellations and everything is going to go boom. I think what I'm going to do here actually, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put a convenience function. Where were we dying? We were dying there, which is a URI and an interface. So, URI new, URI string. Interface, I think, and then here we can say call is equal to new call, and then we can say return call dot get URI result. So we get a single page of data from ESI. So we don't have to worry about constructing a new call every single time if we just care about one page of data. Okay, so I should make it more compile-y. Yes. Okay, we went boom. First things first, spot the error with our error handling I'm using. So it's an RESI call. Greater than or equal to max tries. So that will try fewer times. But we cannot unmask object into a go value type of blumph. Why not? Why aren't we getting an object back on that particular thing? Because this is our load. We're getting an order. That should be doing this, which is a slice. Confusion. Debugging. Unless we're getting some kind of error type back. Anyway, we'll see what that pulls back. Lots of data coming back. Let's stop that. Probably stopped a while ago. It's just waiting for the scrolly wally to finish. Okay, I'm pretty sure that this is okay. So this is market orders with page equals 1. It's definitely a slice. Which has a map in there, which I'd expect as a map string interface almost certainly. What happens if I do that? And let's just very quickly do that, so that we don't have quite the enthusiastic. Right, so you don't think you're a slice of anything. Ah, 0 does not meet minimum value of 1. I know why. Let's take this. No, that's got to live there. That's got to live there. So that has to be page 1 to start off with. Excellent. Better. Right, so what was going on was it was choking on the first call. All the other calls were working, which was why we were getting data out. It was just choking on that first call. So now that we are actually here, this should still work. Yep. So now we can put this back as a slice of type order. And we can do this. We leave that there for the time being. Do this. Don't need that anymore. There we go. So it's going to go off and be pinging that a few times, and we've got 14,552 items back, which tells me we've got 15 pages worth of stuff, basically. 14,000 for the first 14 pages, which would be 4,000, and then 552 on the last page. Hurrah! So the last thing to do now is to start filtering, and that should be quite easy because our orders have information about stuff. So one of the things we have is system ID. And at the moment I think I'm just going to have there's going to be an ASI dot. Yes, ASI dot type ID. Struct, that's why. We're no longer in interface, we're now into a struct. With lowercase s, learn how to type. Type ID, okay. And that's going to be system ID, like that. So now, that should still all be happy, but all we're putting back from that is the system ID. We'll populate more data later. So we go into our data up here, and we can say that do another loop. Don't want to do another loop. Gonna have to do another loop. I want to do a function to keep it out. So this is going to be add. No error required. We're going to have orders, which is going to be this, and then we're going to do range over orders. If order dot system is equal to d dot system d orders, yeah, append d dot orders order. So now we can just do d dot add orders data. I'll just call that orders as well. Let's be consistent. No, thank you. Do refactor. Okay, so that should now filter stuff out. One of the things we need to be a little bit careful of here. In fact, let's just blank out our orders before we even start, because when we load we want to throw away everything we had before and reload all the fresh orders in. So let's go back to our run. So I'm expecting fewer things to come out. In fact, I'm expecting 0 because, yes, we don't have that system in that region. So this may take a little bit longer because I don't know how many pages of orders we have from Jita's region. Probably quite a load because it is the major trade hub. Probably want to, at some point, dump out the region data for Jita. Let me just go see if I can. I'm just going to look it up while that's running. Bear with. Eve Online Jita region, which is in the Forge region. So Eve Online Forge region ID. Nice and easy. Right, that's brought back a lot. 269,000 things. Now Forge apparently is that region. So one of the things we can go off, so there are 330 pages, so we would be expecting 330,000 results if all of them were populated. We're getting 26,194, which tells me that this trimming thing is working. Also shows just exactly how much trade goes through the Jita system. Okay, so we have our data. Well, I say we have our data. We have a bunch of orders, and the system they are currently in. Now we need to do something with that. Now we need to start pulling some information from these particular orders. So these are the things we're getting back. For the moment I don't care about issued. I probably will. Min volume I also don't really care about. I think at the moment I just want definitely want is buy order. So you've got buy and sell orders, and I will probably have to check this multiple times because I don't talk in terms of buy and sell orders, so I can never remember which way around it goes. I think buy order is one where they've put in a buy order, so I would talk about puts and gets. So a put order is you put an order onto the market. Let's just go back to my old reference, if I can find my old reference thing. So I look in a different screen at the moment. Learn how to alphabet. Where is it hiding? There it is. And then where do I put this? Orders. Oh, I think I went off, just defined an order and then defined whether it was a buy or a... Right, okay, that's what I did, and that is actually something we should probably do. So, one issue we're going to have here is this is just a set of orders, and they're for all different types, and we would like to know what type of thing that order is for, because when we're actually going through and checking this data, I want to say, what's the price of this particular ore, or what's the price of this particular weapon, or what's the price of this particular ship, and we don't want to be going through and checking these orders all the time. So this really needs to be a map of ESI.typeID of slice of order. Good fun type there. So this is going to break a little bit here. So when we're doing our load, this is now going to be a map that. I'll blank that off. And this will now be, so first of all we want the type ID. So we need type ID on the order. product or something. We'll type at the moment. Just going to rename that as system ID as well, because these are actually IDs rather than the full things. And we're going to want some data about that. Yeah, so this is our ASI order, so we want a price. I am just going to very quickly grab this. So one of the things you should never do in software development is hold your values, your price values, your currency values in a float, and you can use a big decimal or something like that. But so what I'm actually going to do here is I've just cut and pasted a little price thing that I've got. So what we're doing here is we are holding our price as an integer, and we're actually holding the price as total number of cents. So you have ISK, and ISK has cents. So that way we are always dealing with an integer because there are no fractions of a cent, so we can round things and what have you. The prices are coming in from ESI as floats though, so we need to do stuff with that, so we can construct a new price off that. And I've got another couple of things in here. These are going to be needed later. The price of n items will be a price, and the price per item is basically says division and multiplication on our thing, a little string, and pulling it back out as a float if we need it. So we can use that in a bit, but for the moment this is coming straight off the JSON. So actually it should be fine. It should be fine if I just use a price. Because it should work out how to unmarshal that. We'll find out. So our price is just price, our type ID is type underscore ID. And then we've got buy and sell. So actually I want to separate things out again. This data structure is going to be nasty. Oh, actually no, this is so we'll do that. So we're separating into buy and sell. So our order wants to have Boolean. I believe that's its by order. I want volume remain, volume total. It's going to be an int. Volume underscore total and remaining. So this is volume remaining. Oops. That's not going to work as a price. We're going to need to put some stuff in there to handle price to float to price. with some JSON on marshalling. We'll worry about price later, actually. I've got it somewhere else, so we can kill that for now. Let's shove that in there as a float with all the caveats that remain. Let's pull those two out. Shove them down there. Okay, that should be enough. So now, that really wants to be ID as well. Let's be consistent here. Let's be consistent. Because we actually have a distinction between what a system is and a system ID is. So that's going to be d.buy, and we also want to reset our sell orders as well. D.sell. So just having another little think about just how we've got this organised. Do I want to start off at buy and sell, or do I want to start off at type and then have the type have buy and sell orders underneath? I think what I'm going to do actually here, no, for this particular one, because it is the ESI data, I'm going to leave it like this. It's a little bit nasty, but we can rearrange things when we come out into our own sort of data structure. Let's try and keep this close to the ESI data structure. So if we are that, let's start doing a switch statement because we're going to have lots of if else if. So case order dot system ID is not equal to d dot, oops, not equal to d dot system ID. We can ignore this. So that's our sort of go around. Case dot order buy. So if this is a buy order, then d dot buy order dot type ID is equal to order. Nope. That. And then our default is this with a d.sell. There we go. There we go. Don't care about that. Okay. That should be all good. Hold on. Down here that's going to be complaining because we don't have that. So there's going to be buy orders, buy and sell. So this is actually going to be a lot smaller because what we're going to get now is the length of the buy and sell things are types, not the individual orders. We would have to iterate through and total up the orders to get anything near what we had before. So I expect these figures to be smaller and probably quite similar because you'll probably find that most types that you can buy are also for sale. Maybe a slight difference because there are some things that people want to buy that aren't for sale, mostly very rare skins. But that'll go off and do its thing. Alex wants to know what font is it that mangles. I don't have equals 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 because this is a proper language. Alex wants to know what the ligatures are. So I'm using the JetBrains Mono, I think. Yeah, JetBrains Mono. And it has ligatures, lovely, lovely ligatures. I love ligatures. Come at me, Tom. Tom does not like ligatures. Tom also uses comic code. I mean, I'll let you make your own judgment call on that. Yes, that is a Comic Sans monospaced font. Okay, so yeah, our buy and sell are vaguely different. So that's kind of what I expect. So we're getting there. Let's go off and just find something. Right. Let's try this. So this should be the buy and sell of I think a Tristan. We'll find out. So Tristan is just a type of ship. One that I currently fly around in. Correction, one that one of my characters was flying around in earlier this morning. Yeah, very early hours of this morning. Until someone decided to relieve me of that particular ship while I was not paying attention, which is entirely my fault. Welcome to Eve. Stop paying attention and people will take advantage of that. Thankfully they're cheap ships. And it was insured. Right, so we've got 14 buy and 11 sell orders for the Tristan. So there's a website called Eve Marketeer. Does kind of similar thing to what I wanted to do, but the way it works out prices, these weighted averages and stuff, I don't necessarily agree with. And I wanted to be able to do sort of more than what this does. It would have helped if I actually put in a proper region. Where can I limit by region? Here we are. The forge, and can I limit that by location? Oh, here we are. So this is our sellers. This is the particular thing that I care about. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I reckoned there were 11 sellers. So that's correct. And then buyers, let's just quickly whip down there. That looks a bit like 14. So it's working. We're getting the correct data out. Now, this is where we're going to fall foul of the type ID system within Eve, insofar as all we're getting back in that price data, or that order data, is the type ID for the Tristan, which is that lovely 593. And I did at one point go off and try and get all the type IDs and set names and stuff like that, but to be honest, it's a pain. There are ship types with horrible UTF-8 characters in them. The CSV doesn't copy and paste very well. There's a lot of searching and replacing, and in fact the API allows me to go off and look up stuff about a particular type. So one of the things that is it Universe that's got this? Right, that's bulk names to IDs. Is there a... Maybe this site, this particular core we want to be doing the bulk names to IDs. I don't think there's anything that just allows me to go off and pull. Hang on, here we are. Get type information. So actually here, types. This is going to... just return a set of integers. Not happening. It's this one we want then. Which is going to go off and pull off a whole load of information about stuff. So that we can start doing that lookup. But we probably want to be doing that bulk. Because there are going to be some 1,000 lookups on there. So that's name and categories for a set. Oh no, bulk names to IDs. No, we are going to have to go off and do it one at a time. Surely not. Surely not. Oops, no, that was the right one. I mean, fine, but I'm going to be hitting that. Hitting that endpoint quite a bit. I may want to cache that data. Almost certainly want to cache that data. These type IDs don't generally change. Yeah, this really expires daily at 11:05. So 11 o'clock, the Eve servers shut down. This is UTC. The Eve server shut down for 15 minutes-ish. Mileage may vary. That's where things can get updated. So generally day to day they won't change. And the data will be exactly the same, but occasionally a patch will come out, there'll be some changes and various other things. So it looks like we will be using this particular endpoint. That's the only bulk one I can see, because this one is pulling off names, although I might use that to start off with, because I only want names for my stuff. I don't really care about the rest of... No, that's a lie. I'm going to care about it later. Fun times. Okay, anyway, we'll worry about that later. We've got our market data, and in fact what we should be able to do now is we should be able to print what we've got out here. That should go off and give us sort of price information and what have you, and we should expect it to match this stuff. And then I'm going to want it in a slightly better format layout, and I think that's where I'll have my my price, because we're not doing anything with it in this format. So we can go off and say, same as we did with the universe, go off and cache things. Okay, so there we go. We've got a buy order there. And there are 20 units. One of those is going to be the price. So look, those 20 units, 549. No, that's not that one. Anyway, is that 300,000, 307,300? It's hard to tell what's prices and what's actually system information. It's 310,300. That looks more like a price. 310,300. There's 12 of those. Okay, so 310,300. That may have actually changed, but again, we don't have the details out there. But it's looking vaguely like it might be correct. Okay, so let's go off and have. First of all, let's make sure this still still builds. I don't think it will do. What to do? Terminal. Make. Something's chewing up either CPU or memory. What's chewing up CPU or memory? OBS is chewing up a little bit. That's alright. I just noticed it got a little bit. Okay, so that's that like that. It may also be that I've chewed up a bunch of memory with the data structures. Okay, that's building. Fantastic. Let's add that like that. And what we got? Got enough time, I think. Let's go off into our Eve. Let's just commit this. Commit the whole thing. Git commit directory. Actually, number 7. Actually, let's just number 7. Doing 7th. That seemed to have lyrics in it. I asked it not to have lyrics in it. I think it may have also had some swearing in it. Apologies, Alex. Let's just extract. We have enough fun as it is with Google picking up things on our stream. So what are we doing here? This is item filter order data. Okay, so in Eve we're going to have a market. And markets are going to have orders. An order is so we're going to have a price. We'll put the price in as a type price for the moment. We'll just shove in a quick price. Type price is an int. An order's going to have quantity. I suppose it's going to have remaining. Just going to be an integer. That's the initial order size. I don't really care about too much else on that order, I don't think. Location, no, none of that stuff I really care about. Because we're going to hold the other information elsewhere. Okay, so we're going to have an item, a thing. So we're going to have an item in Eve. So here's our item. Type item struct, and that's going to have buy orders. That's going to have sell orders. It's also going to have an ID. It's going to have a name at some point. Again, thinking sort of about the other information I'm going to need. However, I think what we can do there. So there's other information that we're going to have to deal with in terms when it comes to things like working out if I've mined some ore from an asteroid, that ore will refine down into a certain amount of minerals. So we want the information about how many minerals I can get for a given quantity of ore, so I can then work out what the sale price is in minerals and compare that against the raw ore sale price. But those values don't change, and they're not actually on a per item basis per se. We can go off and look them up, so we can actually turn around and have some things that just say, right, here is an item, let's look up what the item type is, and do it from there. So I don't think we need anything else, which means that we can actually probably use that bulk names endpoint to get the names of the items, and worry about putting individual details from just the stuff that I actually care about, which would be a much smaller subset of all items. So really I just care about those things, I think. Done it another way. In the previous version of this I did it off the other market data. And the reason I've done it a different way... Right, okay. So, here's our order with our price, our size and our remaining. Let's do this, orders. And what we want here is our quantity. Oops, did not want that at all. Quantity. Oh, it's going to be an integer. Don't really care about remaining. No, I honestly don't. We're going to have a total price. And we're going to have what's known as a ladder. So what we're talking about with a ladder, say we've got a market where you've got your quantity and your price like this, let it spell, quantity and price. And you've got quantity 1 and price 1, or 10,000 there, and then quantity 100, price 1,000, quantity 100, price, and so on and so forth. Now, if you just turn around and go, right, what's the best price I can get for this particular item, you're going to look at it and go, oh, it's 10,000, fantastic, I'm going to make squillions of money. And if I've got 50 of these to sell, I'm going to sit there and go, right, there's 50 of them, they're worth 10,000, so there's my little calculation, I'm going to get 500,000 out of that. Isn't that fantastic? I'm going to be rich. That's not actually what it's worth. And we need to start looking at the ladder. So we need to be able to turn around and have some logic that says, right, if I've got 50 of them, how much am I going to get? And it will go through and go, right, you're going to get 1 at 10,000, and you're going to get 49 at 1,000. So actually that is going to be 59,000. I believe that's correct maths. That's going to be 59,000. So you are off by nearly 450,000, so 441,000-ish off on your calculations, just because someone's highballed or possibly lowballed, depending whether you're buying or selling a particular thing. So I want that ladder, so I can actually look through the set of orders and say, what does this look like? What is the liquidity at a given price? So we are very liquid down here at this price. I can shovel 200 through and sort of see what's going on. But I'm not very liquid at this price. If I'm just selling one, great, I can make a killing. If I'm selling more, no, I can't. The other thing we care about with the ladder is what the quantity is entirely, because if the total quantity in that ladder is, say, 1,000 items, and I'm rocking up with 10,000 to sell, I'm going to flood the market and crash the price. So I want to be making sure that I'm only selling values or quantities that are less than that. And also there's going to be a cut-off at which point I don't want to sell anymore. So we want to be able to turn around and say, right, I've got a price target in mind. What quantity do I want? So we're going to hold that ladder in there. So that's our orders. So our total is just going to be a naive calculation of the total amount of ISK for those orders. Quantity is going to be a summation of the quantity of orders in the ladder, and then we're going to have some functions based off the off of that. And this is actually where the price stuff starts coming in useful, because we're going to be you're going to be looking at sort of how much per item and how much of item with prices. So that will come in a bit. So we've got our sort of orders like that. So our market starts having bids and offers, buy and sell. And I think just basically because the Eve API talks about buy and sell, that I'm going to stick with that rather than doing bids and offers and puts and all that stuff, because otherwise we're just going to confuse ourselves. So this is just order in Eve Marketplace. This is orders for a given item in an Eve Marketplace. So we've got our market. So our market is going to be, oops, I actually need to have a name for that. This is going to be your buy, and we're going to be map type ID, and it's going to be orders. And sell is also going to be map of type ID. Apparently the first episode was restricted because there was swearing. The second one is an escrow pending the dispute resolution of the fact that someone has been a little bit overeager and said that we've used copyright music. Have not used copyright music. YouTube safe. Instrumental. No allowing of mature. Whoa, do not. So there should be no swearing and no copyright violations. Okay, so we've got our buy and sell orders. Now we've got our type ID for that particular thing there. Okay, so we can now have, well, to be honest, huge amounts of market data if we wanted to. My old one had a bunch of market data on the universe, so we had more than one market. But for the moment, do you want to put that in? Shall we put that in? No. let's not for the moment. So I'm going to say market is restricted to a system. Okay. Good stuff. So now we need to be able to learn how to write and go. Really? No. go. So that'll do all our rounding for us. But we need there, so price of an item in ISK cents. Let's do that, cents per ISK. There we go, and then used for that particular thing. And there's a new price from a floating point. ESI value. So that's that particular thing. That's that. So we are going to want Eve market. And we're going to want to take that from an ESI from market.data. That's going to return a pointer to the market. Okay, so now we can just go off and build our thing. So our data has actually because we're not doing a huge amount of stuff. We've got this is by order here, and we're not actually doing anything with the buy and sell on this particular thing. Let's put that back to orders. We can work out the buy or sellness. Oops. Later. Simplify that bit because we don't need to do that distinction here. It's not needed. So down here when we're going through, what we want to do is our market is going to be there's market, and all these fields, and that's going to be one of those, and that's going to be one of those. Then we're going to iterate through might actually put the region ID and stuff on there as well for now. Do I care? No, I don't. At the moment, I don't care. I may care later if I start having more than one market, but then I'll put that in a structure above that's got that particular information in it. So all we care about on this particular thing actually is the set of orders. Orders. So we're going to iterate through those orders, and I've got a better idea. The order's got the type ID in it already, and the system ID. Let's do all of this outside of here. Let's just keep this nice and simple. Let's keep this wonderfully simple. So that goes back to being one of those, and what do we append into that? Back to how we were before. I'm sure I've seen that code before. Okay, so here is where we're going to be. So we're actually going to have, we will have a set of markets. Oops. I'll put that down there because what I want to be able to do now is actually in markets we can update from our market data like that. So we can turn around and we can say if m.data is nil, just initialize that so we're safe and we can handle empty initialization. Then we can iterate through these, and we can say that market is equal to m.data order.system ID. So we're pulling out a market for that particular thing. Do we already have market in here? Why are you not whinging about that? Okay. So I'm just pausing there because my watch is saying you can still do it, and I'm going, no, I can't. Actually, possibly technically I could, but I'm not going to. Sitting is for the rest of the day. So we've got market and OK. So the OK thing back there just says whether or not I've got some data back from the map. So if we're not OK, market becomes pointer to market, fill in all the fields, and that becomes one of those, and that becomes one of those, and then if it's by order, need some newness on here. That's going to be orders rather than order. Yes, it is orders. So that's going to have to be a pointer to, because we're going to be changing those. So let's make those pointers and make those pointers. There we go. We then need to we've got nilness to deal with here. Have some more ifs. Market dot buy dot type ID is nil. Right, that is going to become new empty orders. Do the same on the sell side. And then we're going to say type ID, and we're going to need some stuff on order in order to help us out here. So orders, should I say? So we're going to do add. We're going to be adding a side order, I think. Not a market order. So our order is going to be a new order. Oops. Price is going to be new price order dot price, and our quantity is going to be order dot remaining. Okay, so that's our order. Then we need to we're going to need that price. What do they call this on the playlist? EDM. This does not sound like EDM to me. It sounds very Caribbean. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I cannot use order price. Oh, idiot. No, still an idiot. That's our current order. So that's those two. Actually, we don't even need to do that. O.ladder equals append O.ladder that. So that's our ladder updated. And then we can do O.total plus equals, that's not going to work. Yes, it is. Excellent. And quantity, it's order dot remaining, because we're going to use that twice. Quantity and O dot quantity plus equals quantity. So that's our ladder updated. So we can now, you'll notice I'm trying to make these structures so they can be used empty. I don't have to do sort of newness to them if I don't have to do new and sort of do any initialization. I can just take that as is. So if we've got an order there, that's not a problem. And then we can just do add order else market.sell type ID. Add order. So there's our market. For each of the orders, we want to no, we're not doing that anymore. We're not doing that at all. I can go. Right, so the one thing I need to think about here is old market data. We want to trim old market data. Do we just want to kill everything? Yes, because we're not going to be getting any. No, we don't, because if we're going off of different regions, we might be doing different regions at a time, so we want to kill each system as we get through. So I'm just thinking about first time we see a system, we we kind of want to flush it. Let's not worry about that. We're going to worry about that later. Sorry, scratchy throat. Gonna have a big fat to do here. And we clear down the market data because if we're doing across multiple regions, we may want to just clear out the stuff for that particular region rather than everything. Okay, you're colliding. Okay. I think we are good to go. So this is now going to be slightly wrong. So now we're going to be loading our market data, and then what we want to do is to have our markets is it's going to be a pointer too. In fact, we can just put a. We'll do this for now. Markets dot update data. Okay, and then we want to be looking at, let's just look at the buy data for that, and we're going to have, there's going to be markets dot data Fujita, and we want the buy data for 593. Just put that in there for now. That should tell us how many orders are in that particular ladder. And that should hopefully run. Let's run. Boom, import cycle. Right, what's going on there? We've got market pulls and Eve pulls in markets. Right, why is Eve looking at... Eve wants to look at market. Why is market looking at Eve? Because it's pulling in the Eve universe. Okay, fair enough. Sort that. We'll just have to work it out down here and assume that we're not going to be Muppets. So this is going to be universe. System. Oh, sorry, u.system. Gita region.id. I wonder if that will do a cast for me straight away. Let's have a look. Yes, it will. Cool. Okay, let's see whether that works. That's better. So what I'm hoping now is to see something in the order of 11 or 14. Can't remember which way around it is. Just wait for it to load. Oh wow. We have clearly messed up our clearly messed up. So let's do that up there. Gita, 593. No buy market data for the Tristan, otherwise print that out So I'm going to leave that running while we go just have a little bit of a spelunk and see whether we can work out why that went boom. Might be obvious. So we're checking the orders a nil and we're setting them to new. Oh, I'm a doofus, I know why. We've got our market data here, we haven't shoved it anywhere, have we? So current needs to go somewhere. I'll pop that back in there, equals current. The problem is, because we're dealing with these maps and stuff, we pull the data out of the map, seen there's no data, fiddle around with stuff, and then not put the data back into the map. So it's just got no data in there when we come back, and of course that's why we're getting the blowing up on the nil. Lies. Absolute lies. So just last ditch effort to find out what's in there. I'm going to have to wrap up very soon. We may have to leave it on a cliffhanger. What I might try and do for next week is just quickly get this so it caches, so that we don't have to wait when we're looking through our market data. Okay, that printed out nothing, so it reckons that map is empty. New markets, we do. Oh, you spoon. So I put my code in the wrong place, and I was building the markets from the data before I loaded the data, which is why it was completely empty. However, there was the other issue that I wasn't putting the things back into the map, so I mean, that would have been a problem. We're now likely to get a whole bunch of, shouldn't be too many, region IDs out. There we are, and 14 by, which is what we're expecting. Okay, so we are at a situation now where we have a data structure with our market data in it. And next week, hopefully, we can do something with that and start producing something useful. Anyway, that's me out of time for today. So do the various things with the likes and the subscribes and the bells and the social medias and the Patreons and the Twitters and the Discords and all the various other things which Alex will be handily dumping into the chat right now. Nor.dev for most of the information. Please do subscribe and follow. We have these things most weeks, most months, and we do it all for free. So your Patreon subscriptions help keep the lights on. Anyway, that's it for me for this week, and I shall see you next week for another evening of code. And catch you later.